What is up, guys? Welcome back to Base Damage. Today we're going to be taking a little bit of a break from all the hololive stuff and everything, and we're going to be taking instead a look at RWBY. I haven't put a RWBY deck up in a hot minute, and this one has been sitting on the back burners. It took me a little bit to get some of the cards for it, but I've had it for a minute. I just haven't posted it. But this is focusing mainly on the bad guys or the villains from the RWBY throughout the RWBY series. And specifically around Cinder, Salem, Neo, and all of them. So no Torchwick, sorry. He got eated. So anyway, but yeah, no, let's get right into the deck profile. No dilly-dallying. For the most part, this is 8 salvage. We do have an event in here. I'm trying to remember everything about the deck. Yeah, no, let's just jump right into it. So, first card is this Salem, the big bad nasty of the entire series. It's a 3/2/9K. This card gets 1,000 power for each character in your opponent's backstage. So, if they have 2, it's an 11K. When this is placed on stage from your hand, you can pay 1 stock. If you do, choose one of the following effects and perform it. So, the first effect is your opponent puts all of their stock into their waiting room and puts the same number of cards from the top of their deck into their stock. So, buns for luck. For anyone familiar with Bang Dream. And the second effect is put the bottom 5 cards of your opponent's deck into their waiting room. Deal X damage to your opponent. X is equal to the number of climaxes amongst those cards. A little bit extra burn for your end game, depending on what you need. One very nice utility in general, and even though it's a double rare, it was like really fucking cheap. So then we have 4 copies of Cinder, Complete Maiden Powers. You can definitely say that we are not maidenless. So anyway, this 3/2/8K, if Amber Fall Maiden is in your memory, this gets 3K power, making her a constant 11K. The Amber Maiden power, or the Amber Fall Maiden, is this one. So we'll get to that one in a little bit, but basically there's a whole bunch of effects in this deck that try to put her into memory. Also, the Cinder on play you get to heal 1. And when the battle opponent of this becomes reversed, if Fall Maiden's Downfall is in your climax area, deal 1 damage to your opponent and put that character on top of your opponent's deck. The Fall Maiden's Downfall is the first salvage trigger right here. Just that looks like it hurts. Anyway, but yeah, so you get to burn 1 and get some very nice removal. But there you go. Lastly, for the level 3s, we have 2 copies of Neapolitan. We definitely love us some Neo. She is super fabulous. 3/2/9/5. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can pay 1 stock. If you do, choose a climax in your waiting room, return it to your hand. So you can get your level 3 climax combo very easily. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can put 1 Remnant character from your hand into your waiting room. If you do, choose up to 2 characters in your opponent's waiting room, put them on separate open positions of their stage. So this does allow you to get your on-reverse combos. If your opponent's like, oh, I'm maybe just going to try to suicide a whole bunch of level 0s or something into your characters, so that way you can't burn me or anything of that nature. Neo goes, nah fam, get them motherfuckers out here. We about to summon them, and you about to get reversed. So you can purposely bring targets to your field if you need. It's not something that's going to happen a whole hell of a lot, but it's a neat little extra card to have. That is it for the level 3s. On to the level 2s, we have Cinder Infiltrating Beacon Academy. It's a 2/14K. All of your level 3 or higher characters in front of this get 2K power. Mostly to buff herself, but it can help buffing like the Salem or something. When this is placed on stage from your hand, if your memory has 2 or less cards, you can choose an Amber Fall Maiden in your waiting room, put it into your memory. So one of the cards that lets you put that into your memory, for the level 3, obviously. And memory, at the beginning of your climax phase, if you have Amber Fall Maiden in your memory, choose one of your characters, and that character gets an extra 1,500 power until end of turn. Meaning, you can give at least one of your Cinders with that level 2 alone, plus 3,500 on top of her, already being 11K and then 12K from her climax combo. So you can get up to 15.5 before the Mercury as a global 500, stuff like that. You can get her big and be able to reverse. So very useful. I've contemplated putting in more copies, but 2 seems to have really worked for now, so we're just going to keep it at that. 2 copies of Jacques Schnee is a 2/1 2500, but it is a 3k backup, even though a lot of the times the backup numbers match the attack power, but this one doesn't. There's obviously exceptions. It's just one of the things you got to look at twice. When you use this card's backup, choose one of your characters in battle, and that character gets, when the battle opponent becomes reversed, put that character into your opponent's memory. Some very nice memory kick, and it's a 3k to make certain that happens. This is very nice. That is it for the level 2s. On to the level 1s. We have Adam Taurus. It's a 105k. When this card attacks, you can put one other Remnant character from your stage into your waiting room. If you do, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is a Remnant character, put it into your hand. This is more useful if you know for a fact you're going to maybe suicide a level 0 or something into an opponent's character. You can swing with them first, and then you can swing with the Adams, since you know it's already dead. So it's might as well go ahead and sack it. It doesn't come up so often, but it's a neat little interaction there. We have 4 copies of Raven Bronwyn. Is a 1045. When your climax is placed in your climax area, this card gets 1500 power till end of turn. So very useful. She becomes a 6k. When this card attacks, choose one of your other Remnant characters. It gets X power till end of turn. X is equal to the number of other Remnant characters you have times 500. So you can give someone with a full field a free 2k buff. Most of the time, you're probably going to try to give it to this, even though this Cinder doesn't have to reverse for her climax combo. It's just really useful. So 103k, Cinder leading a Grim Invasion. During your turn, she gets 2k power, so she's basically a 5k. She is very weak defensively, though. I am just going to go ahead and put that out right now. When this is placed on stage from your hand, you may have seen this effect already. If your memory has 2 or less cards, you can choose an Amberfall Maiden, put into your memory. So another card that lets you get the Ambers into memory, which the memory compression can help. If you're able to get a couple in there before you refresh, so it's helpful. On attack, if Grim Invasion, which is the other salvage trigger of the deck, is in your climax area, choose up to one. You put the top card of your deck into your waiting room. Choose up to 1 level X or lower Remnant character in your waiting room. Return it to your hand. X is equal to the total level of the cards put into your waiting room by this effect. So, being able to just salvage back some of your stuff is pretty nice. So, and if you're able to grab a lot of different level 0s, this can be very useful because you have a plethora of interesting level 0s to choose from. First off, we have Emerald Sustrai, is a 0015. Your other character in the middle position of your center stage gets 500 power. A little bit of a buff, nothing to write home about. But it does have a fun. Brainstorm is a pay 1, tap 2 of your characters. Mill 5 for each copy of these specific climaxes. The Fall Maiden's Downfall and Grim Invasion. For each of those revealed, search your deck for a Remnant character, add it to your hand. You get to mill 5, which is very nice, but you have to have this specific climax combo, or these specific climaxes for your combos in the deck. So, really cool, and just 3 copies of it. 4 copies of Amberfall Maiden. A lot of the effects revolve around this card, so we gotta have it. Definite play set. It's a 002k. During your turn, if this card gets 1000 power, when this card is placed on stage from your hand, you can pay 1, put the top card of your deck into your clock, choose 1 Remnant character in your waiting room, return it to your hand to be able to grab back your Cinders, whatever. So just really good, just on play, grab what you need. So definite 4 of to be able to make certain you can capitalize on the effects. 4 copies of Cinder Scouting is a 001k. When this is placed on stage from your hand, you can pay 1 and pitch a Remnant character. If you do, look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 card amongst them, put into your hand, put the rest into your waiting room. This is often referred to as a Winter Moment Akatsuki effect from Kantai Collection, but it's specific obviously to Remnant characters. It's just really nice to be able to see. You get to pick any 1 card, which does mean you can grab the climaxes or even the event at the end here, so just stating. So 4 copies of that. 2 copies of James Ironwood, but I thought he was one of the good guys. Shut up and watch the show. So 00500, when this is placed on stage from your hand, you can pitch a Remnant character to draw a card. And when this card is placed on stage from your hand, you get to discard a card as well. If you do, reveal the top card of your deck, choose a level X or lower character from your waiting room, add it back to your hand. X is equal to the level of that revealed card. This is literally a mirror copy of a certain level 0 Nino that is on currently on a pick 1 of 3 list on on the Weiss restricted list. So this is a very, very nice effect, and I'm glad it's not part of any restricted list for RWBY. Then we have 3 copies of Mercury Black. Shoutouts to Yuri Lowenthal. It's 0015. All of your other Remnant characters get 500 power, just straight out. And when your character's trigger check reveals a climax with a salvage trigger, choose one of your characters, and that character gets 2k power for the turn. You can pump out some power in this deck, that's for damn sure. 3 copies of him, and lastly we have 2 copies of the Maidens event. It's a level 2 red 3 cost counter event. If you have 5 or more Remnant characters, choose one character in battle. That character gets the following ability until end of turn. This card cannot deal damage to a player, and then choose one of your characters against 1500 power for the turn. Basically, being able to turn off all damage that a particular character would try to do to you, for their finishers or whatever. You can just tell them to fuck right off with that damage, and just it's very, very nice. This is basically, if I'm not mistaken, a mirror copy of Darkness Plan from To Love Ru. It's been a hot minute since I played TLR, so don't at me. But yeah, no, this is just a really fun card, and this proves that we are not maidenless. We have this and Cinder. Well, what else are you supposed to say? So we have 4 copies of Fall Maiden's Downfall, obviously, and 4 copies of Grim Invasion. So both 1k1 salvage triggers, and that is it for the deck. Kind of short and sweet for this one. It's just nothing really extensive. It's just a fun little theme deck to be able to run, just to have fun with, basically. This is mostly for fun, and if I'm not mistaken, a lot of this is fairly cheap. I haven't done like a price check for this particular deck. I think the most expensive card in here was between like the Ironwoods and the Ambers, if I'm not mistaken. I think everything else in here was like cheap as fuck. I think the Ironwood floated between like maybe $2 to $3. I could be wrong on that, but it's been a bit since I've looked at it. But there's obviously other cards you could put to replace him if you needed. You kind of have to have the Amberfall Maidens, so depending on how much they go for is kind of going to dictate your budget for the deck anyway. But with that, thank you all very much for watching. Link for this particular deck on Decklog will be in the description if you want to take a look at it there. And with that, I hope you as well are not maidenless either. Maybe this deck will help with that. With that, thank you all very much for watching. We will see y'all on the flip side. Peace out for now.